Hello everyone, and hello from our viewers on Facebook, online from around the world. My name is Rusho, let's keep it there, and I come from Uganda. And yes, I work for the Open Impact Institute, but also coordinate the work of the AGcelerate Initiative, which is a multi-stakeholder partnership initiative, with different partners, as we shall see. And my point of being here, I've been asked to sort of show this as a case of how MSPs can tackle some of the challenges that we are facing today. But briefly, I want to attempt to give a sort of a brief background of how collaboration generally has been at the center of civilization and how we got here as a species, if you like. And for sure, as we know it, if we go back maybe 70,000 years ago, we're just another insignificant animal in the jungle trying to also do a few things. And in fact, we were not able to do so much, but when finally a few things happened and we achieved the cognitive revolution and were able to work with each other, we did not only succeed at sort of taming the environment around us, we first of all eliminated competition, not just from other animals, but from our own siblings. And I know there are many theories around it, but at least one of the most accepted is that we killed off our other human species, including most recently the Neanderthals. And I think at that time it was really a survival instinct that we needed to work together to pretty much eliminate everyone else and have this whole planet to ourselves. So because of that and because of the abilities we have been able to work together, we have really grown in numbers. And for sure we can today say that we are the greatest ecological success, if you like, on this planet, more than anything else. We've not only changed the planet to almost a level that you may not recognize. If some of the hunter-gatherer ancestors came back today, they may not understand where they would be. So we have grown tremendously in numbers, and I don't know what you might think of these numbers, but they speak a little bit about how our abilities to work together have really pushed us to levels that we possibly never imagined. So the first figure is 10,000, meaning 10,000 years ago. And because we're trying to figure out things, it took us 9,785 years until 1804 to actually make 1 billion people. And at that time, I think that's when we're even having more abilities to work together, of course, with the Industrial Revolution, and we're able to achieve quick and faster mobility and the steam engine and the trains and all these things. From that time until now, about 200 years, we've been able to grow our numbers to remarkable levels. So it only took us another 123 years to achieve another billion people in 1927. And then the time really got even so short. And another 33 years. So the numbers here is the number of years it took us to add another billion people from 1804 when we became 1 billion for the very first time. Until you see here, it's been very remarkable how in every 10, 12 years, we are able to add another billion people. And there are, of course, many factors that have been responsible, but for sure, one of the greatest of all has been our abilities to work and to cooperate in large numbers. And yeah, I found this comic also a bit interesting. If you look at it, I don't know what you think, but that also brings my next point of, yes, for sure, we've been able to achieve tremendous things. And as you can see, you can use the same power for two different reasons. You can use the same power of collaboration to do good or to do bad. In this case, putting the elephant for few people to come together and pull this humongous animal is such a nice thing. It shows that together we can work together, but also clearly we've been able to almost drive so many species to extinction, and because of the same power that we have created, that we have achieved, we've not only used it for our survival and for growing our numbers and all the good things we've done, we've also used the same power to sort of do some harm. And I guess today we stand at a very, even more interesting intersection, that we know for sure we have this power that we have achieved over time. We have invented and changed things, and now we are able to collaborate in even more remarkable ways. The fact that I'm here and perhaps people from anywhere can easily stream live and see what is happening, or we take it for granted, but it is not really something to take for granted. So we are able to work even more tremendously in that regard. But then, of course, we know for sure that there are huge challenges that we have to solve. And yeah, of course, there are so many challenges ahead, but these are, I think, some of the most urgent. We know climate is changing and ecosystems are diminishing, and we're driving many species to extinction. How shall we tackle that going forward? And of course, because of our numbers, as we saw, we have all these millions, billions of young people around the world who, most of them educated, but they cannot find meaningful jobs to provide themselves with meaningful sort of lives. So how shall we also provide or create more jobs while sort of minimizing our environmental impact? And also now the challenge we are facing is, of course, technological disruption. We're talking a few days with students how if you've had a farm and you've been employing 10 people, and the same work maybe can now be done by one robot, what is going to happen to all those people working on the farm? And there may not be any specific answers really that we can talk of. But one thing I personally believe is that the same way we got here is possibly the same way we are going to get out of this mess. The same way we work together to build our numbers and change everything and control everything is the same principles, the same strategy of mass cooperation that we must apply to get out of this mess. At least that's what I believe. That's what I think. I think that the power is there, the tools and the strategies, and it is really tried and tested for at least 10,000 years since the start of agricultural revolution. And if we can apply the same principles today, in a sort of a different way, I think we can get out of this mess. And that leads me to sort of the case that I want to make, because so you may ask, so what are you doing? What are you doing about it? Yeah. And yeah, so we, at least I believe that, and we know that for sure, and if we can apply the same principles, and yeah, that brought us to this point, we can actually build a more sustainable, more inclusive, and more safer future for everyone, for the people, for the animals, especially farm animals, and of course for all the other species on the planet. Yes, so what are we doing? Yeah, so we are aware of the challenges, and we are also aware of the possible strategies we can apply. And one of the things, and why I'm here, is the initiative that we started about two and a half years ago with a number of partners from Africa and here in Europe to sort of bring people and to co-create and create drive sustainable businesses in agri-food, working with young people. Of course, why we are focusing on that, we are looking at, for example, the numbers of so many unemployed young people in Africa, south of the Sahara, and the opportunities that are really there in terms of the growing food markets, and still the availability of huge uncultivated arable lands and all that. And if the opportunities are there, can we provide some tools and resources and create a platform for these people to come together, collaborate, and co-create? And so, again, one of our emphasis is linking research and academic to application trajectory. Of course, also another challenge is that many of these young people start, but then they lack the actual sort of knowledge, be it business knowledge, or understanding the challenges they have to tackle from sort of a research or evidence point of view. So that's why the universities sort of and research institutions provide a very important role to that perspective. But how did we start? We started from thin air, really. It was just a few people, I think, meeting by chance and realizing there are common challenges and they could have common interests. And out of thin air, the platform started. And over time, we have grown not only in numbers of the institution, but in terms of a geographical reach and the people we are able to reach in terms of the actual young people we work with. And a few of how we think we are different. Of course, we are knowledge intensive and driven by evidence and try to employ evidence-driven sort of approach to tackling the challenges in that regard. And of course, the North-South sort of flavor, because sometimes when, like a very particular case, when sort of Swedish students want to learn about or internationalize agriculture, they may go to Canada or United States, but it's usually more of the same system, more of the same. But going down to Africa, they get to see something completely different, and the reverse is true. And so that sort of flavor makes us a bit different from many of the other, I think, initiatives of the same nature. And of course, having diversity in our partners. These are not just universities. Universities may speak the same language, or development institutions may speak the language they understand, but how about sort of business development services? How about actual sort of businesses with actual proven resources or strategies of doing the actual business? How about policymakers? So we bring together sort of like a diverse group of institutions, and these are some of the institutions that are already involved. And of course, you can see SLU and SLU Global, Uganda, and the Agripreneurship Alliance, and Roland is here, and these other institutions, and we think we can attract more. But these are sort of the ones directly involved, but there is a lot of sort of other associated institutions that are indirectly benefiting or contributing to the work we are doing. And like I mentioned already, we have emphasis on knowledge transfer. All the knowledge that is being created by researchers and academics, should it still keep rotating around the same people for the same kind of work, or can it be translated into actual meaningful and consumable formats, and then can it be scaled? And that's what we are trying to achieve. And of course, facilitating collaborative innovations, and of course the young people at the core of our work, at least from their understanding of the African perspective. You may not relate to that so much here because of the demographics, but like where I come from, Uganda, about 78% of the population are under the age of 30. And that's a challenge and an opportunity at the same time. So there's a lot of a demographic dividend, and all these young people, what are they going to do with the abilities they have, and with the technology, and with the market that they can possibly create among themselves? And of course, emphasis on environmental sustainability, because many of the innovations we are trying to drive must really acknowledge the abilities to have a positive impact on the environment. This is mostly how the principles we are trying to apply as an MSP. Of course, diversity of our partners and complementarity, and like I said, we started from thin air, and we're still running with thin air, with no particular pool of funds, but leveraging resources from each partner and trying to achieve more. And of course, the chain reaction kind of thing is that you are associated with us. Even how, for example, the Agripreneurship Alliance came in, I think started from the relationship from SLU, Global, and SIANI, and I think the Agripreneurship Alliance has already been associated even almost directly with SIANI on a certain project. So that sort of chain reaction and ripple effect, we are seeing it happening, and there are so many people. So again, every year we run an annual AGcelerate Lab in Kampala at Makerere University, and this brings together 150 or so students and young innovators, and teams them with mentors and researchers to co-create together. And some of the people from last year. But one of the things they do is first go to the field, understand the challenge firsthand before they come in sort of to ideate and collaborate. So it's about understanding the gaps before even attempting to find a solution. And at some of the actions happening from last year. But yeah, so we for sure facing challenges. Like I said, we are running with very, very little to no resources. But of course, to be able to scale our interventions, we need to find a sustainable way of financing the platform. And of course, we have to meet partners' expectations, at least in the short term, because if we don't have like quick gains, then how shall we prove to everyone that they need to still be involved going forward? So that's a bit of that. And of course, yeah, so going forward, we are looking at scaling and creating like a more meaningful pipeline where if these innovators come in, they can continue having support beyond the innovation lab and that kind of thing, and creating a more vibrant system, and of course focusing on more research to prove or have a concrete understanding of the assumptions we make. And yes, and for some reason, it's such a coincidence, someone brought the same issue as So Amazing, and I wish I can click on that link and place, but before I do that, it's just 1 minute and I'm just finishing. I'll shut up after that. But as we know it, bees work in swarms and fish work in schools, but starlings, they work in a system called Rations, and they use the same sort of system of maneuvering and avoiding their prey, which in most cases of falcons and all sorts of other birds trying to fetch them. But each individual bird is very vulnerable without the other. So there is no one single leader, but every bird is actually a leader. So that sort of collegial ability to work together and create a system that can maneuver danger. I think we have so much to learn about nature and how it operates. So okay, that's an art. Sorry, usually.
Just nu 150 kronor rabatt för nya
Well, okay, so it starts now. No, it's fine now. Okay. Sorry. It's fine. I knew something would happen. Something like this. Sorry, it's very hard to play a video in something like that. But the point I'm trying to, if it can play fine, if it doesn't, you get the point that there is so much to even learn from nature, and many species in birds. And I think the only way they can survive, the only way they can, avoid being eaten or is to work together in numbers. And I think by applying the same, thank you so much. Yeah, if I stop there. Thank you so much.
So we are not only connected, this is our moment, briefly, maximum 5, maybe 10 minutes, for a couple of questions that you may have for Rushongoka. So
Nothing yet so far, probably.
Nothing, I guess, from Facebook. Please go ahead and if you have any questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much for that. It's inspiring. You mentioned that one of the big characteristics of your successful partnership was trust. Can you tell us more about what that looks like?
Yeah. So yeah, of course, trying to keep every partner believing that they own, and so there is no pressure from. So we have some really huge, big institutions already that are involved, and to avoid, to keep the trust from each other, one of the things we thought about is to have the coordination with one of the smallest, which is the institute I represent, and it's still small and pretty much insignificant, if you like. And sometimes it's easy for other big institutions to believe that, you know, if there is something to be done, and we are the ones leading or asking, it's very easy for them to keep that sort of different from if one of the big institutions is actually at the heart of coordinating the MSP. Yeah, but of course, you cannot say we have 100% trust from everyone. I mean, it's a work in progress. It's working every day to make sure we can keep partners believing that they are involved and that they are getting their interests met.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
You said that this is a lot about linking research to application, and then you showed some pictures from ideation workshops.
Yeah.
So what happens to the ideas that are created in these workshops? What do you continue to work the ideas, or do they go into another phase? Or
Yeah, so that's what also that I mentioned, that we ought to create a more continuous platform where when these ideas come out of the ideation, they can still be supported. For now, for sure, we are relying on the chain reaction of the other associated platforms, institutions that continue to provide incubation and other services. There are other programs, the Innovation Village back in Kampala and different institutions. So we've not had the capacity to sort of centralize the continuous sort of support for the ideas, and that we are much aware. But at least we follow up from different sort of platforms and partners to know what is happening with these ideas and these young people. We have some really remarkable successes to look at right now.
We're mentoring some of the new businesses that have started, and some of them are already quite successful. And then to maybe you can mention some of the research projects that are waiting from it.
Yeah, so yeah, how do you measure success? Success, as Richard was mentioning, for each of the stakeholders it's important that their short-term needs are met. So as a university it's very important that we deliver on our own mandate. One of the things is that we want to internationalize educational programs. So check, we have an Erasmus Plus program that right now exchanges teachers and students between Makerere and SLU. Now we have to think creatively and think, okay, well that's by itself already meritable, so we have our short-term needs met, but we are in a partnership with different people from academia all the way to application. Now how can we make these teachers that come to Sweden to open up the horizon of the students beyond just the classroom? So taking them out in the field and here in Sweden, or the other way around. How can we use the students and their research project that they have to fit in to some of the stakeholders' aims? For example, there's a students can do research project that fit right away into agribusiness startups. So right there we already synergize these the immediate needs of other partners. So these are just examples of what we're doing, and there's Yeah, so teacher exchange, for example, the teachers that go to Uganda now will also contribute to the AGcelerate lab and not only teach in classroom settings. So we try to reach out within the partnership with the same money that we have and with the mandate we have, try to throw the resources to our partners so they can play with those as well. And it needs a bit of creative thinking, but not necessarily. We work with extremely lean budgets. I would love to, as Rusha was pointing out, we're getting all these, we're doing research on the back of this initiative, this AGcelerate Lab, and we can create papers of that, but what we lack right now is to all these young entrepreneurs that come in, they come with their ideas, how we can line them up with business development platforms. Some of that we can take care of, but not all of that. There's an enormous need. So the lean budget is not necessarily an advantage, right? We need money to propel it even further. So,
yeah. With the last one.
We have one from Facebook.
Sure.
It's Seth Mwangi. Where are you based in Kenya? How can you use your tools be used by local farmers to predict weather patterns and create market?
Yeah, I think we are based in Kampala, if you might reply to him, but through our partner, the Agripreneurship Alliance, we're already working with some institutions in Kenya. What's the institution again, Anne?
With
Egerton University.
University.
Yes. So maybe that's the starting point, but for sure we are looking forward to getting more ground involvement in the rest of the countries.
Because we believe this is a model that can be replicated in
Thank
other
you so much.
countries.